What's goody YTBC? What's good fight fans, boxing heads around the world? B Marsh with another boxing video. So I'm about to take y'all back to let's say 98, you know what I'm saying? This is a fight that we never got to see as boxing fans, you know what I'm saying? This was a fight between Ike Quartey, who was the WBA welterweight champion of the world, versus Felix Trinidad, who was the IBF champ. You know what I'm saying? So, these two guys right here, man, I wish I got to see them fight in the late 90s, you know what I mean? They were both champions relatively at the same time. The man, Felix Trinidad, he became a champion in 93 when he knocked out Maurice Blocker, you know what I'm saying? And Maurice Blocker was a game opponent, man, but Felix Trinidad got him out of there in 2 rounds, you know what I mean? You check it, and the man Ike Quartey, he became a champion in 94. He fought a guy from Venezuela, you know what I'm saying? A guy named Espana, Cristano Espana, you know what I'm saying? He was a champion in the mid-90s, you know what I'm saying? So, I would say the best time for these two guys to fight was probably 98, you know what I'm saying? Because 98, the man Ike Quartey, he ain't get to fight at all, you know what I'm saying? He was inactive. And that was basically the story of his career, you know what I'm saying? He was relatively inactive for many years, you know what I'm saying? So in 98, the man ain't fight nobody, you know what I mean? He ain't fight anybody. And in 98, the man Felix Trinidad fought a dude from Africa named Mahenge Zulu, you know what I'm saying? So, that's a fight I'm sure that Felix Trinidad would have probably not wanted if he got a chance to fight Quartey, you know what I'm saying? And, Quartey was a guy who was on HBO. He was with Top Rank, and the man Felix Trinidad used to be with Don King, you know what I mean? And most of his fights were on Showtime, you know what I'm saying? So, 98, this was a fight, man. It'd be a good fight, man. It's a tough fight, Both guys were pretty good. Both of them had power, you know what I'm saying? But, I think the man, Tino Trinidad, had more concussive power, you know what I'm saying? More one punch power, you know what I'm saying? Not quite the KO artist as in, he was a KO artist, but not that, just one knockout power, But Ike Quartey was a guy who also knocked fellas out with accumulating punches, you know what I mean? So, Ike Quartey, though, was a master at the jab, man. The jab he was probably the best. And in the 90s, he probably was the best in the game with that jab, you know what I'm saying? And, they had common opponents, you know what I'm saying? The man Obakar was a guy that Trinidad fought, you know what I'm saying? And even Ike Quartey fought him, you know what I'm saying? Who else was, the man Quartey, he ain't get to fight, he ain't really fight too many other common opponents with Felix Trinidad, you know what I'm saying? Obakar was probably the only guy that I could say they fought, you know what I'm saying? And the man Trinidad had fought guys like he fought what's his name? He fought Hector Camacho, you know what I'm saying? He fought Obakar, of course, Hugo Pineda, you know what I'm saying? Who else did he fight? Freddie Pendleton, you know what I'm saying? So I think this fight right here between these two in 98, it'd be a classic fight, man. Classic fight similar to Ike Quartey and what's his name, De La Hoya's, you know what I mean? I think the man Ike Quartey would be using his jab a lot, you know what I'm saying? I think he'd use his jab, and I think he'd be in trouble if he tried to trade with the man Trinidad, you know what I'm saying? I think he'd have to stay disciplined as a disciplined boxer for 12 rounds, you know what I mean? And, I think the man Felix Trinidad, he was a good boxer as well, you know what I'm saying? But he was a guy, who he was a little chinny, you know what I'm saying, to say the least, But he's a guy who always came back up from his knockdowns, you know what I mean? He ain't never been knocked out, but, he's been dropped a few times, you know what I'm saying? Ike Quartey was, he was a guy with a sturdy chin himself, you know what I'm saying? He's been dropped a few times himself, you know what I mean? I remember the Mexican, what's his name? Jose Lopez, you know what I'm saying? Jose Lopez dropped him a few times. in a fight where, I thought Ike Quartey had lost, But I think if these two guys met in 98, at that particular time, not both of them hadn't faced De La Hoya, you know. So in 98, they were both in their prime. But I think the man Felix Trinidad, man, I think he was a better boxer as far as, he's going to have more concussive power, you know what I'm saying? I think he'd hurt the man. He'd hurt the man Trinidad. I'm sorry, I Quartey if they tried to battle. If he tried to stand in the pocket with the man, you know what I'm saying? So, I think the man Ike Quartey, his defense was basically it was the peekaboo defense, you know what I'm saying? Something like what's his name? Um his countryman. Joshua Clottey. You see how Joshua Clottey fought Pacquiao with that peekaboo style, basically with the high guard, you know what I'm saying? Basically you'd leave the ribs open, but that was his defense, his defense wasn't really moving around in the pocket, you know what I'm saying? Both guys were more flat-footed boxers, you know what I'm saying? And I think the man Felix Trinidad, I think he'd find a way to get through that jab, you know what I'm saying? And probably catch him with left hooks, because the man Ike Quartey, that man was a guy who, he showed he was vulnerable to the left hooks, you know what I'm saying? As a matter of fact, when he fought De La Hoya, he got dropped twice with the left hook, It was a fight that I had him winning, but that in that 12th round when he got caught, that 12th round was beautiful, man. Great 12th round, one of the best in our boxing history. But I think the man Quartey, he leaves his chin out there a little too much when he's throwing punches, you know what I'm saying? When he ain't throwing nothing, he's that's that Maurice Blocker knockdown. Yeah, you just missed it. If you saw it, you're lucky. But the man Ike Quartey, you know what I'm saying, would leave himself vulnerable when he's throwing punches, you know what I'm saying? Because a good counter puncher could catch Ike Quartey, you know what I mean? But Ike Quartey, he could if he uses his jab, you know what I'm saying, and fights a perfect fight for 12 rounds, he's a hard guy to beat, you know what I mean? But one thing about Ike Quartey, though, he ain't never win the big fights, you know what I'm saying? The big fights always eluded him, somehow, some way, he didn't seal the deal to get to win those big fights, you know what I mean? And I see the similar happening, same thing happening if he fights Felix Trinidad, you know what I'm saying? I think Felix Trinidad would if he catches him, at any point in time with his hands down when he's throwing a punch, I think he had more concussive power, you know what I mean? And I think he could hurt the man, you know what I mean? I think Quartey, his best asset was his jab. And if he fought well behind the jab, he would have a chance to win. But he'd have to follow up with the right hands, you know what I mean? And he can do that well, man. He did a great job when he fought De La Hoya, you know what I'm saying? Catching him with them right hands, you know what I mean? And the other guy, what's that next dude who beat Kostya Tszyu? Vince Phillips, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, he caught Vince Phillips with some vicious right hands, but he dominated with the jab, man. That jab of Ike Quartey could make a man bleed, you know what I'm saying? But, it's up for the judges to, if they're going to give him a decision strictly off of jabs. So, in that particular, in a fight with Trinidad, he'd have to mix it up. He was pretty good with the uppercuts, he was good with the uppercuts, you know what I mean? Man, it'll be a beautiful fight, man. Believe me, man. This fight right here, I would probably have to say, I'd probably have the man Trinidad winning probably by decision, you know what I'm saying? I see both guys dropping each other at some point in time in this fight. But I think Ike Quartey wasn't going to get knocked out, and I don't think Trinidad never been knocked out. So in that particular fight, I think, he'd win by, you check it, the man would win by decision, you know what I'm saying? Because, he'd definitely, he'd win by throwing the harder punches, you know what I'm saying? I think he'd have the harder punches, and, I think defensively, Trinidad he could be hit, you know what I'm saying? Who was a better defender? I could probably say Ike Quartey as far as not absorbing punishment like that. And but I think the man Trinidad would probably win on points, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, man, that's who I think would have won this fight. You know, if this fight would have happened, this is a fight we never got to see. You know, the welterweight division. Who had the WBC? What's his name? De La Hoya had the WBC belt at this particular time. You know, because he beat Pernell Whitaker in '97. You know what I mean? So yeah, man, let me know your thoughts, man. Let me know your thoughts and comments in the comment section. Who would win this fight between Felix Trinidad and Ike Quartey? You know, Ike Quartey, the WBA champ, and Felix Trinidad was the IBF champ. It'll be a unification champ fight probably in 1998. You know what I'm saying? Let me know who you think would have won. You know what I'm saying? Leave your thoughts in the comment section. And if you like the video, hit that thumbs up and please subscribe. All right, y'all. Be Marsh Boxing. Thanks for listening. Peace.